Hello.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of SJGames Live. This is me talking as a ventriloquist through Ben. This is Hunter.
Yep.
I'm just off camera. We got Ben Williams here. He's one of our production artists. Awesome dude. Great artist in general. He's
Why,
a
thank you, Hunter.
very talented miniature painter, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Today's a hobby day. If you remember a few weeks ago, we did a hobby stream. This is kind of inspired by our FNORDCon hobby streams where Ben actually painted live during FNORDCon. FNORDCon page has been updated with our digital information for November, by the way, if you're interested in that. But we are going to start ramping up the Car Wars content as we get a little bit closer to everything kind of wrapping up and getting delivered. It's still a little ways away, but we're working towards that now, and we've got some more models to paint and whatnot. So we thought we could do some streaming of hobby stuff, and Ben's going to start painting some cars for us.
If I can just get this wash to open up.
If he could just open his
The
paints.
dropper bottle is completely clogged.
So he's gonna be doing not
Not
like a
what you
ton
guys
of
came
cars.
here to see. You did not come here to see me trying to open this wash, but that's what's happening. All the same.
He's not gonna do
sure
like all the cars at once, but we're gonna
Yeah,
we're gonna focus on a couple minis and work our way through. Probably be painting for 45 minutes to an hour, answering your questions, kind of giving you an idea what he's doing, and make it more approachable. You don't have to paint your Car Wars minis, but if you're interested in it, this is a great way to learn.
Yep, that's one of the advantages of the system. They come built right out of the box, so you can just play right away. But yeah, if you want, painting them can be really cool. Car Wars, I think we were talking about this the last time. It's not like other systems where there are factions and you have these guys are on this team and they always have these colors and they always do everything this way. Every car in Car Wars is potentially a driver. I think of it more, like pro wrestling or something, where instead of teams, you've got a bunch of personas out there. They all have their own kind of unique, crazy ways about them, and so that's kind of what you can do with each of your cars. Is you can develop a persona for that driver, and that car can say something about them. And that's what we have here. Are some of the ones that we did last time. Some very different looks. This is your hot rod with flames. Where I did a little bit about freehanding with freehanding flame details, and this is more of like a rust bucket, kind of like you can see it's all dinged up, covered in dirt, put together in a junkyard, and then just thrown right out into the arena. So today I did have one little quick technique that I wanted to show because it's kind of cool. This is for another rust bucket style look. And then I think we talked about spending a little bit more time just on one car, which is going to be this purple guy here, trying to get that a little bit more developed. As you can see, we sort of left off all these other cars half finished, just because I wanted to show each one of them was sort of a way to show a different technique. And like Hunter said, you can go look at that video if you want to see what all those techniques were.
Mm-hmm.
This time we're just going to spend more time on this guy, kind of chit-chatting. But first, so this guy, if you want, I mean, you guys may have all seen the big box by the side here. So this is the 2-player starter that you guys are going to be able to get your hands on, a pre-order starting next month.
Yeah, September. It's early September. I think it's going to be around September 2nd.
Cool. So I've actually got
September
2 of the cars that come in this box with me here. So one is, they all have names, but of course you can call them whatever you want. One is Butcher, the sort of construction-looking vehicle guy down there, and the other is, oh no, I thought I brought Typhoon. I brought a different one, which is from a different set, which is fine. It doesn't change anything, but there's Butcher, and so these are what all the studio paint jobs were. Some of those were shown in the Kickstarter too. But yeah. All right, so what I was going to do real quick with Butcher before we went any further was I just have kind of a quick rust technique. Now, because things take a while to dry, I got a lot of this started at home before I brought it in here. So what we have with Butcher, I began with a base of kind of a reddish brown. I just airbrushed that on just for expediency's sake, but it doesn't really matter. You can do it with the brush. And then I gave it sort of a wash of this Citadel Troll Slayer orange. I tend to predominantly use Formula P3 paints just because that's my preference. And they have a good orange too if you like them. The Kador red highlight is about the same. So I gave that a wash on, and this is just like a pretty quick technique to make a cool rust bucket. All we're gonna do now is get some, let's see, which metals did I bring? Cold steel works pretty good. This is just kind of like your standard metallic steel. So I'm going to get some of that. Get a lot of it on my brush.
And he is not just wiping that on his
No, I'm
pants.
not just wiping that on my pants. I have
That's
my
all right.
trusty. Last time anybody who's watching, remember I was complaining about leaving my trusty rag at home, and I had a paper towel instead. But today I actually brought my trusty paint rag, and this is where it lives. It lives down on my knee, and when I dry brush, it's just like this, just right off camera. So we're dry brushing, so that means we're getting a lot of the paint off the brush, and I have this cool board here I can kind of test it on, and that lets me know it's ready to go, and I'm just going to start going crazy. So again, the whole point of this is like it's a fast technique to get some kind of cool results. Let's get a little more on there.
And you're using for just not to interrupt too much, but
No, interrupt away. Let's get a dialogue.
yeah, if you guys have any questions, I wanted to mention that. That's why I wanted to bump in now. You guys have any question about anything he's doing, or any techniques, or tools, or anything like that?
Yeah.
Or just want to say, hey Ben, great mini. Just pop in. That's why I'm sitting when mic'd up off camera. We'll ask him live. I did want to mention, so that's a dry brush. In case you don't know what that means, essentially, where the technique is getting as much off the brush as possible, but don't use this with any brush you have.
That you
wanna,
love, yeah.
Yeah, don't use it with like a really expensive brush. You want to save this for something that.
Or weirdly, as is this case, use it with a really expensive brush that is like long outlived its life and would otherwise be thrown in the trash.
That brush looks like it's probably been used for about 20 years.
That is literally correct. I got this when I was in college in like probably 2000, 2001. That's one of the things about really expensive brushes is they will last a while, although they won't maintain that perfect point forever.
So a couple of questions popped up. One is less related. Mark, September 2nd, that's when we'll start getting filled. No, that is not the answer to that. That we will be taking pre-orders for non-Kickstarters, like so people that missed out on the Kickstarter, that they will start being able to take pre-orders. That does not mean it's going to be shipping at that point. We're just going to be essentially opening the backer kit for that. The second question, Ben, what primer do you use? You said that was airbrush, right?
Well, I airbrushed over just a Tamiya fine surface primer. That's one of the more expensive primers, but it's just, for me, it's really reliable. We have extremely random weather in Austin. So one day it's humid, the next day it's like blazing hot and dry. One day, it's 100 degrees, and then a couple weeks later it could drop down to the 70s. Primers are just insanely like temperature and weather and humidity sensitive. Yes, thank you for getting the right word in my brain. Sensitive. So Tamiya is just one that it seems like if it's cold, if it's hot, if it's wet, if it's dry, it always goes on pretty well. I can always rely on it to like create a nice thin seal without ruining the detail. It never goes on grainy. The only time I've ever seen it bad was when I was like really rushing and it was like extremely hot and extremely humid outside. And I knew I shouldn't be priming anything, but I was in a hurry and it did go on like really kind of like grainy and bad.
So oddly enough, I've used Tamiya fine surface, and that's the only time it's messed up on me too. And,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was the first time I used it. So for primers in general, if you live in a more temperate location, like not Texas or not like somewhere where it's freezing at that exact same, or Florida, I guess, something like that, where it gets really, really humid. You don't have to use super fancy primer either. You can use like, I've had a ton of luck with Krylon or the Rust-Oleum stuff, things like that. But again,
I use that for like terrain.
I used it for I used it for minis though
sometimes
for a long time.
bases when I'm not as concerned about the detail.
Makes sense.
All right, so I think I've got a pretty good coat all over this guy, a little base of that steel, so you can see it's got a little bit of a shiny look to it. So now we're going to put it away for a second. Nothing cool is going to happen to it quite yet, just because I want to make sure it's fully dry. The next step is going to be a wash, and if it's not fully dry, when you dry brush stuff, it dries pretty quickly, but if it's not fully dry, it'll wash off, it'll get everywhere, it won't be as good. All right. It gets messy, yeah. And so yeah, like we were talking about, this is actually a really old brush of mine. I really like it for dry brushing. These are two very inexpensive hobby brushes that I don't know where they came from. I was actually given them as Christmas presents from people, and they're very cheap, and they don't really hold a good enough point to be good for like the serious stuff, but you can use them for dry brushing, especially if you're doing a large area. They're actually pretty good for that. You just have to make sure to get enough of the paint off the brush first for a really good dry brush. But anyway, because we are waiting for this to dry, we're going to do a little bit of work on this purple car now. So for purples, purple is one of those colors that you can kind of go in two different directions with. You can make it more red, or you can make it more blue. I'm going a little bit more red with it. So for that, I have some P3 beaten purple. It's more of a slightly reddish purple. And then I'm going to highlight that with a little bit of murderous magenta. Magenta is almost a red, so that's going to give it a really bright purple look. And then for my last one, I think I'm probably going to use some of this carnal pink for a final highlight on that. Now, what I've been doing with all of these cars so far is wet blending. So that means it goes on wet. Now, I've been trying. Hunter, the last time I was on, was talking about wet palettes. He really swears by one. This is the one that he suggested I order. And you can see I've already made a mess of it, but it's the Masterson's Stay Wet Handy Palette. And it's been working really well for me. It's one of those things where it's actually dried out a little bit just while we were sitting here. Thanks, Texas.
Just don't use the paper that comes with it.
I actually am, and it's been working just fine for me. Thank you. But yeah, so I've actually really liked it when I've used it. But it's one of those things where it's not part of my routine, so I have to like remind myself to do it. Usually, it's the back of my hand is the palette.
And those things, like I was not trying to change Ben's routine. Ben is a way better painter than me.
It really is a useful tool.
It's a cool tool that if you have it's a really cheap, useful tool also.
Yeah.
That will preserve your paints, which is helpful and helps for blending.
And a big part of my problem, the reason why I hadn't used one, is because I bought not an artist brand one, but a miniatures company's brand of wet palette, and it wasn't really good. And that's something that you can happen even companies that make really great miniatures. Sometimes they'll try to do a quick hobby line, and it doesn't always work out as well as you'd like. But this one, mostly it has a better sponge, but we're not here to talk about sponges, so
we're here to
paint the model.
But that's fair. Amistig on Twitch was asking about, he was asking for recommendations for airbrush primers for a place that sees both 95 and 80%, 95 degrees, 80% humidity, and 0 degrees, 20% humidity throughout the year. Well, that's us. We live in that place. It's called Texas. Not exactly. We hit like 10, so that that matters.
That's usually
it used to be an anomaly.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next.
So I've heard a lot of people mention Steinolrez, but a few others say it's very sensitive to cold weather. So on the cold end, we're obviously a little less versed in that. I've actually used Steinolrez before, and I will say it for me it's actually varied more bottle to bottle than it does with weather. My last bottle of Steinolrez was amazing. It was the best primer, so I ordered a really big bottle of Steinolrez this time, and it's really gummy and it's clogging up my airbrush really bad, and I don't know why. So I'm not sure if it's just a batch issue or not. Do you have any experience with primers out of the airbrush bin?
I have never used an airbrush primer, so I was going to say it's all going to have to be Hunter's
Fair enough.
Experience.
Vallejo, I have used Steinolrez. I've like I said, my last batch was great. This batch is a little less great. I'm trying Vallejo Black right now. Vallejo Black surface primer's been pretty good. Brandon uses Vallejo Black. I'm probably going to stick with Vallejo just simply because this current batch of Steinolrez has been pretty rough. Nothing against Badger as a company. They're great. And like I said, their last batch, super good. I also had a bottle of gray from them that was very good. I don't know if it's something with the... Because I bought it online, so maybe it shipped and it got messed up somehow. Like, I honestly don't know what happened, but and it just didn't recover from it because it's just really gummy. It's like, I've put so much thinner in it, and I've tried getting it thinned down. I literally had a 6-to-1 thinner to brush or thinner to paint, and I still clogged my airbrush immediately. And wow. I was like, okay, well, and then trying to clean it out, it was like scraping tar off of a road. So I would say probably stick to something a little more in the middle, and maybe Vallejo. It's been good for me, and it's pretty humid around here, but
Yeah, airbrush primer is one of those things I talk about a lot, but haven't actually tried yet, and it's for the same reason because the weather can be really averse to
I like
even
it.
the best
That's actually why I got
primers.
the brush in the first place, because our weather's so crazy here.
Yeah,
What I would recommend is to get a temperature gauge that also has humidity on it, so you
Mhm.
know what the humidity is.
My
yeah,
temperature
but
gauge is
what
my
if you
sensitive
what if
skin.
you gotta paint right now, man?
Well, then
S-
you'll know. Oh, probably not going to work out.
What I do is, so for any miniatures I care about, I airbrush prime them. For my terrain, I will literally stand next to my door with these rattle cans, like spray cans, and just have them all shaken up. And that's where, like Ben said, I use my like Rust-Oleum and stuff like that. I don't use my airbrush and all that stuff, and I'll just sit there waiting by the door until like it's overcast slightly or like afternoon, and then I'll just run out and prime as much as possible in the box, and then run back in. And that's like how I do it when it's super hot, because it's been like pretty hot lately.
All right, so let's get a quick. I want to do a quick close up.
Let's do a side shot of that one.
Where's the? Do I have it in
There
front
it
of the
is.
right? All right. This always drives me crazy because it's like mirrored. to
Yeah,
what I'm
you don't
trying
want
to do. So what we've got so far, I'm just sort of building some stuff up. I tend to use a lot of layers. I will often do sort of blended highlight layers, one on top of the other, so it can kind of take a while to dry. That's actually why I brought all these cards with me, is because I'm almost always painting multiple models at once. Towards the end, when you're like focusing on all the little details, you don't. That's not as big of a deal. But especially when you're trying to blend these larger areas, because it can take a little while to dry. Sometimes it's good to switch between them. But yeah, so I got a few layers down, and I'm just going to keep building that up. And then in a little bit longer, I guess we will go back to our rusty metal car. Um, so one of the things I like to try to do is sort of, and this is something that I like to do on the back of my hand really, is actually to get like a, here, I'll put it up there, get like a feathered kind of thing going. So you can see I'm actually picking up a bit of paint here that's blended from like this darker pink up to the very light pink. And then you can use the side of the brush to sort of like put that on. And it's, I can't see what I'm doing because I've got my hand stretched out so far. But if you're doing it right, you can actually like just paint on the blend as you go.
And that should tell me something. He's better at painting without being able to see it than I am. No, and that's something to point out. What Ben's pulled out is essentially you can call it different things, but it's essentially a triad of colors that are kind of like his base. He's got like a base tone, a
Yeah.
mid tone, and a lighter tone, a highlight tone, and he's kind of using those together to blend up to that light tone, to kind of get to that level where he wants the ultimate highlights to look like.
And the problem is, purple could be a pretty tricky color to work with. It's often very translucent. So purple may not have been the best choice, but it may work well because it may give people out there kind of an opportunity, if anybody struggle with purple, to see some of the ways you can get it done right.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel like you're ready for blending, I'm not. I've been painting for a long time, and I do not blend like this. I'm really bad at it. You can do something similar without the blending of the actual paint. You use the triad. You just get colors that are a little bit closer together. You could have a base purple, a lighter purple, something like that.
And I'm gonna ruin everything for poor Hunter because he's been talking about the triad. I'm gonna throw a fourth color in there.
A quadrant.
A quadrant.
Here we are. We're in the quad. I just made that up. I don't know if that's what that's called.
I mean,
We're called a
it could
quadrant.
be a quartet.
Also, a quartet. There you go. And if you see any of the models out here, by the way, so we're working on the purple people eater here. I don't know what its real name is, and the rust bucket, and we
I think
we
this
have all
one
these.
might be called high energy. Something like that.
Makes sense.
Jimmy, do you know anything? Can you remember this guy's name?
Jimmy's our lore
It really
master.
doesn't matter. Yeah, Jimmy's one of the technical assistants.
It's from another box.
He just ninja'd in here.
But what I was going to say is we have all these other cars lying around. If you're interested, we are going to keep doing this once a month. We'll bring Ben in to do some hobbying because we're having so much fun with it ourselves. And
Yep.
and Ben's obviously
And
super
I mean,
talented.
plus in this crazy era, like we're all staying in a lot more. It's just fun to like come to the office. Whoever thought you would hear anyone say
It
that,
really
right?
is. It's a
It's
lot of fun to
actually
come
just
to the
like nice,
office.
and I don't see these jokers, nearly at all these days.
Sure. Even at game day, we were gonna
They're
play
good
Warhammer
folks.
and end up not playing Warhammer.
Yeah.
Stuff. But what I was gonna say is, guys, if you see these cars that you want to see finished, like some of the ones that he did some work on, like the half finished ones, let us know. We might be able to do those in future streams.
True, and
And we got other stuff too.
when he,
Secrets.
I think I have pictures of all of them. I did not bring my laptop, but I can always, I don't know, have you guys post a link in
Yeah.
the comments or something. if you want
Absolutely, we
to
can do
see.
a vote on that potentially, and also I'll take some pictures of the minis that you paint today, and we'll share those on our Instagram and social media, so people can kind of see the progress shots. And we can always keep revisit these because I'm sure we won't finish everything for all these cars. We'll come back and finish it later. And plus, when we finish cars like this, a lot of the times they end up back here at the office. We might you might see them on a table later. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's technically not my car.
Oh well, there you go. They will end up on a table later.
Yep.
We'll take
It
them
is
from him.
company property. I'm not growing attached to it because it's not my baby. It's somebody else's.
But we will be getting our own copies at some point, God willing, and I will become attached to those cars.
All right. Well, let's put this guy back. You can see the first blending layer dried, and I put on. There we go. A couple more, and it's starting to get a little bit smoother overall. I didn't even mention this, but I also did a blast of airbrushed purple paint on here before I came because, like I said, it can be a translucent color. So just working straight from the gray would not have been. We would have been spending even more time. And you can see, even though it's a nice even airbrush, it's still a little bit splotchy. Just because that's just what purple is, man. It's a little renegade. It wants to do its own thing. But let's go back to our Rustmobile from earlier. So all I'm going to do now, you saw me fiddling with this bottle earlier. This is a P3 Armor Wash. I really like this stuff. It does dry glossy. So if you don't like a glossy finish and you want to use this, you're going to probably want to give it a matte primer spray afterwards. But it's one of the best washes I know as far as really going into all the recesses. It doesn't ever tend to dry thick. You're less likely to get those kind of splotchy areas with this stuff than you do with some of the other brands.
Is that an acrylic based one or an oil based one?
It's an acrylic based one.
Okay.
I'm not gonna mess with oils. Like having to keep turpentine around.
Yeah.
Some people do. I mean,
It's
the
become
people
more
who are
popular.
willing to work with it get some amazing results.
I'm gonna try it out at some point because it's become more popular to use. Not
gonna
more
hate it.
popular. It's built up a bit of a.
You're gonna hate having that.
No,
you
I
get
know.
turpentine on your skin.
Well, it's
you
used
get-
mineral
it's a
spirits
mess.
now, so
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's still it smells better than the old turpentine stuff, but it still gets in your skin. It's oily. It's just
for sure,
bad
for
to have
sure.
around.
but as someone who also has cleaner from all my paint stripping on my skin, it's fine.
Yeah. All right. So I'm also going to add a little bit of this. This is actually GW. So I'm mixing brands here.
That's Nolan oil.
How dare I? No, this is Drakenov Nightshade. So it's
It's the
a
purple
dark
one, got it.
blue, not purple. So I'm gonna throw some of that in there.
I love their washes.
So
I
we have
gotta
a
say.
bluish black GWs.
Yeah, I still love them. I mean, I like the variety. I think.
Well, what's weird, the reason why I do use both of them is because they're just very different. The P3s and GWs are very different from each other. P3s, with the exception of the Armor Wash, P3s washes tend to really put more of like a burst of intense color on things rather than being used for shading. And that's what the GW washes do, is they shade.
Yeah.
They're like an easy shade. So they're very different, and that's why even though I tend more towards P3 paints, I always keep GW washes around for that quick shading if I need it for something. But anyway, speaking of quick shading, here we go. So we're just going to start putting that on there. So it's a little thick, so just add some more to my brush. No big deal. Start spreading it around.
This is my favorite part of the painting process, is throwing a wash, make everything suddenly come together.
Yeah.
That's when the detail pops.
Yep. I think Ben's probably. I mean, not to date us, but I think you've been painting minis probably about the same time or as long as me. Way more talented in that same amount of time, but I remember when GW started releasing washes for the first time, and they were nicknamed Instant Talent.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, I have no memory of that. I
Yeah.
remember, I just always remember washes. Them
They
doing
they
washes for as long as I've been painting.
so
They
they
were very different. That's back when they
yes.
had the octagonal bottles with the blue lids.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And back at that time, a lot of them worked more similarly to P3 washes than what they do now.
They were more intense, like almost like back then, because
Yeah.
they had started with inks when I started they had inks, and they technically had washes, but they were more like inks. But when they released their modern washes, what I meant to say, the equivalent of what Null Oil and Agrax are now, the original versions of those, it was crazy because suddenly like a bunch of kids had access that were like very 90s styles miniatures. Suddenly had access to like something that they could just dunk their minis on, and they suddenly had detail, and it was great. Like as a kid who was not amazing at painting at the time, and still isn't, it's great to just throw a bunch of Null Oil or Agrax on something and be like, aha!
Well, one of the first armies that I painted a lot of stuff for was undead, and those washes
Yep.
really helped those skeletons. 'Cause
Vampire counts.
I did it that GW, paint a whole big army method where you start with white and then you wash them and then you dry brush them and then they look
Yep.
like super rad skeletons.
And they did. I did the exact same thing. I did it was like, oh, you've got some kind of, I think it was called literally like skeleton bone or something like that. And then I put a brown wash and I dry brushed it white, and I was like, woo, we did it. An army has been made. And
Right.
fortunately nowadays all you have to paint is cars.
That purple one is Super Flash.
Okay.
Super Flash. Oh, since you're pulling up the Kickstarter, some people had asked pre-orders. Just to repeat, if you're interested in getting these cars, pre-orders September 1st should be the day that those go live.
All right, so whenever I'm done with the wash, one of the things you want to do is even though I said that it wouldn't do
Oh,
this,
that looks good.
it starts to build up a little bit in certain areas, and we really don't. There's no reason why there should be any shading, kind of at the base of these tire wells. So I'm going to take a slightly damp brush where I've gotten most of it off, and I'm just going to try to pull that off, but keep it. The tricky part here is to keep the same sort of level. And then it's the same on the other side. I'm going to try to do that there too, because we really only want it in the recesses. We're trying to shade quickly with this, and we don't want it in weird spots. And so then I like to give it kind of a tap, and what that does is it kind of pulls everything down, helps gravity take over. Oh, we got a few in the spots I don't like along the front. I'm going to try to pick those up. And then we're going to let that guy dry a little longer. And then I can go back to Super Flash. Jimmy, you said Super Flash?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. While I've got it out, let's do a little bit of lining on the front. It's a little premature. So I'm going to take this is like a very dark turquoise. It's P3, they actually call it coal black. It's a very dark blue. I'm going to thin it out with a little bit of this wash. And then we're going to try to go into these crevices along the front, which they call this lining for obvious reasons. I find it helps if you use really thin paint for this, because then part of what's happening is a little bit of that capillary action is just sort of going to suck that wet paint off the tip of your brush and pull it into those recesses, whereas if you use a fully thick paint, your aim is a lot more important. It's a little easier to screw it up, in my opinion, or in my experience, rather.
Didn't think I'd hear capillary action today, but there you go.
That's the correct term, right?
That is, no, you said it right. You absolutely used it right. I just don't, it's a,
Another big.
used $100 word.
I was told
It's actually two words, Hunter.
Okay. So action wasn't the word I expect action, okay?
Another $100 word that comes up in painting sometimes, surfactant.
That is.
Right, something that breaks the surface tension of the water.
Oh, interesting.
That's what one of the things.
like dish soap.
Right,
Yep.
exactly.
That makes sense. I actually have,
And that's actually a thing that is useful information with our rust bucket over here is some people, and this is something I've never done, it just seems too outlandish, but it really seems to work, is you can actually add a little bit of dish soap to your washes, and then that supposedly does a better job of making sure that it pulls into the crevices. The reason why I don't is because usually when I'm painting a model, it's because I'm going to be using it in a game, and it just seems like, well, if there's soap in it, it can't really fully like dry properly, right? And really like form that fully bond together. It seems like you just end up smearing it off.
We'll
But
have to test
again,
that.
never tried.
Yeah.
And it's the sort of thing where it seems like if you did do that, and as long as you gave it a nice thick coat
Varnish.
of varnish when you were done, a matte varnish, it should probably be okay.
Doesn't technically have to be matte varnish, but you prefer.
Right,
matte
I prefer matte
I
varnish.
also prefer matte varnish.
I thought you were a semi-gloss man.
I'm a matte.
All right.
I only did semi-gloss for the Custodes army because I wanted to try it out.
Oh, okay.
And I was killing power swords with my matte varnish. I might actually go back over them with the matte varnish at some point.
I'm doing a really bad job of getting all the paint out of my brush there. Every time I go for this pink, I end up a little blue.
My $100 word for mini painting that I've been using a lot is verdigris.
Verdigris.
Yeah, been using verdigris a lot. Got any more questions in chat? No, nothing crazy. Not well. I did, yes. I painted an entire golden army at one point pretty recently, but trying to do some bronze and stuff. I might actually do verdigris on some cars. I want to make some junkers.
Maybe we actually have a little bit of verdigris on one of these guys that maybe I can go
Nice.
back to. Or
Yeah.
it was the start of some. But I mean, I guess verdigris, I usually think of it as being like copper and bronze, but
Yeah.
there's no reason. Does like oxidized like steel rust count? It's still verdigris.
I've
isn't
seen
it?
verdigris. Yeah, it's still technically like it's got that same coloration, that like turquoisey coloration. I think it's mostly on older cars.
Well,
though.
no, I guess what I'm saying is like is just regular rust verdigris, or does it have to be like fancy?
I think it has to be that bluish tint. I think
Okay.
that's the. I think technically it's not regular rust. I think it's technically on copper and stuff like that, like you
Okay.
said. But I still like it. I pretty much call anything that's that bluish turquoisey type stuff verdigris. Nice.
So what colors do you think you're going to want to paint your first car, Hunter?
Huh.
And also, what do you have a favorite from the lineup where you're like, this is the one I was looking at, and I gotta paint this sucker.
Ooh, I believe it's the flamethrower. The hot. I forgot what it's called. The one that
I
has.
think he's just hot. Is it
Hot-
Hot Shot?
Hot
Is
Shot, I
one
think,
of them.
yeah.
And then Dragon also has two big fat flamers.
Yeah, it's. Let me see. Is it Hot Shot? I think it's Hot Shot. Hot Shot's the kind of stumpier one. He's a little
Yeah.
shorter. I love the design on that because it looks like a station wagon with flamethrowers on it.
It's
That
right
yeah,
here.
that's him. That's the one. I think it's probably gonna be that one, and I'm probably gonna go something orange just because I'm basic and it has flamethrowers and I like the color orange.
You can
Yeah,
try
with
it.
flame. It's like ooh, flame guy.
I'm gonna try to freehand some flame on there.
See, that's the thing. I don't freehand anything, so no. But I may also do more of a tanky one that I can paint rusty because now I'm kind of on that like train, especially after seeing the one you've got over there that we're working on today. Butcher. I kind of
Butcher's a
I
really
probably
cool
wouldn't use
tanky
Butcher
dude.
for it just because you've already done it, but I kind of want to do that kind of a style. Also, it'd be fun because I've really wanted to try out chipping at some point.
Yeah.
It's something I've always wanted to try out, and I think that'd be a cool way of doing it on one of these cars. For people that have done chipping's like a way you can essentially do like it's usually airbrushed. You can brush it on too though, but there's like mediums and there's like hairspray and stuff you can do.
Yeah, that's one way you can do it. You can start with you can hairspray. You base coat either using colored primer or airbrush. You start with this kind of red, basically, something like this, or darker.
Usually something rusty-ish, brownish kind of stuff.
Then you hit it with hairspray, and then you airbrush it again, and then you can very gently, with like a stiff brush, start to scrape away that outer coating and get down to
the primer level.
Yeah, the primer.
You're essentially literally chipping the paint, which again, not something I've done before, but something I'd love to try on a car because I think that'd be a cool effect for one of these. Even though we're technically in the future, you know, and the cars are like fancy.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean,
but you're in Car Wars. You're not in Car Drive.
Right. Well, I mean, my understanding, and it's been a while since I had a chance to read any of the background, but it's you know, it's auto dueling, right? So anybody can go. Like if you go to a scrapyard, you know, and weld together some like century-old junk you find, and you can get it to drive, and you can stick guns on it, you know, they'll let you in to the arena as long as you fill out the proper paperwork.
This waiver.
Uncle Al's waiver.
So, but that's part of the whole point, right? You know, when you're playing Car Wars, there's a little bit of role playing if you want there to be. You can say this car, this guy here, this car, this is like somebody who put together an old junker, to pay off their student loans, or
Yeah, we'll have to
or
see.
alternatively, it's it's like a professional who whose parents like trained him to be a duelist since he was a kid, and there's so much room for story, I guess. That's
We'll
where
have to
I'm
make
going
some
here.
cars for people so you can kind of bring in your own car, and then do a tournament down the line.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I also wonder what people might end up doing. This is not the easiest plastic to cut. It is a little stiff, but
For
I'm wondering if people are
modifications.
if they're gonna just go to town and just like tear these suckers apart.
Could be more about adding stuff to them if people end up wanting to throw things onto them.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of fun.
but I'm wondering if anybody is gonna feel so inclined as to make like a Franken car or something crazy. Where they just
Can you
completely...
zoom in on the car closer? We'll try to pull it in front of the camera here in a bit, and
Whoa.
pull a little off. There you go.
All right, is it focusing?
I think it is. No,
It's a little soft.
a little soft. Okay.
Is it back is more in
Pull it
focus?
back.
More. And I'm doing a little bit on the sides right now, but I think it's coming out a little bit darker than it should be, because I usually like to do pretty dramatic shading. Yeah, and then I'm going to try to do a little bit of lining, I guess, soon. But yeah, sorry, let me try to get a little bit more out on the table.
Sure.
I'm just like, people have asked me a lot, why I don't do my own personal paint streams. And it's because it's just not like I have like the worst posture when I paint. Like I just like hunch right down,
It's
and it's
difficult.
yeah.
No joke. Like I do my own personal. Some of the people in here have actually been on my own personal page streams, and boy, you lose track of where your hands are all the time. And like even I'll sit there before a stream and I'll set the camera up just exactly where my hands are, and I'm like, this is gonna be natural for me. By like halfway through the stream, I'll look down and I'm like, my mini's like half on the camera, and I'm
Yeah.
like leaning back into my body, like painting. It's it just naturally happens. It's actually tough. Also, it depends on how you paint, because like for an extended period of time when I'm streaming, I'm trying to like talk to people and stuff in chat like we're doing now, essentially.
Yeah,
But
we're hoping that will be some of the draw too. Is
Yeah.
to come and ask questions and we answer them and talk about Car Wars. And...
Yeah, and for like an hour at a time, for sure, like hour or 2 hours at a time, that's not as bad. But if you're someone who likes to get a lot done, and you're not used to necessarily doing that, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I need to actually go faster. Sometimes when you get focused, you go heads down and you're just not really paying attention to that kind of stuff. So it depends on your workflow. But I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun doing it here. I'm glad we're get to do it at work now. So we have
Yeah,
we have
when
an
are you going to
excuse.
join me? One of these days, we're going to want you on this side of the
Sure,
table.
we'll do one. I think we have enough space where we can do 2 people on the table.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's important to show like all levels, to say, hey, people, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a pro. You
I'm
can
glad he
do
pointed
something
that out.
cool.
I'm really glad he took the shot. I was gonna do it myself, but then he did it.
You've been.
I know. I
You've
just
been
love it.
denigrating yourself
I
this whole
know.
stream. Don't act like I'm walking in here.
Ben's a bully, is what I'm trying to say. I've been setting him up this whole stream
All I'm doing,
just to prove it.
I'm just reinforcing.
No, you're right. And I'd
your
like to.
own negative impulses, Hunter. That's all I'm doing.
Maybe once we get our sets in, I'll jump on as well, and we can start doing that. Also, want to point out, Ben's using thumbtacks on bases. That's his paint handle there.
Oh yeah, this is something I do with everything. Car Wars is super easy because they have, they come with holes in the bottom, which is where you're going to put the base pegs.
Mhm.
But even when I'm doing like other games, I have 28mm rolls. I will actually drill tiny holes in the people's feet, because this is just.
It's really smart. I like that idea.
It's and especially it's really because I usually like to do, if it is a system that has basing, I like to do the basing later.
Sure.
But with these guys, I can't just like glue it to the transparent base and then, not get paint.
You could, but
So-
yeah, you'd be painting the base too, and then it's like, eh.
Yeah. And then, obviously getting your hands all over it is not ideal. So, you guys out there in Paintland, you're probably going to want to set up something like this. For this one, I actually did super glue it to the base, which sounds intense, but no, you can just like snap it off later.
Super cool. Yeah, it's easy to break off.
And this other one, so here we have a thumbtack glued to the base, and this is just some like wall mounting tacky stuff. And this is another thing that I do. You can just put that in the hole, and then it'll give a pretty good, hold for a while. Eventually, it'll want to fall off. That's just sort of the nature of this stuff, and you just have to shove it on again. But
Yeah.
it works pretty well.
I use blue tack on bottle caps, so similar concept. I know some people. I've seen people use dowels and people.
I
that
mean, my
use-
preference is always to glue it because
Sure.
the blue tack does sort of release. It starts to release after a while, just like this stuff is doing. And then you have to fix it. Of course, the super glue is not always permanent. either.
Yeah. I don't paint anything long enough for where the blue tack becomes much of an issue. I paint fast. I'm here for speed, not quality.
Well, then you're gonna like Car Wars. Well, you know what kind of Car Wars car you're gonna build.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've done in the streams previously. I was there for speed, not quality. I've proven that in game too.
Fastest Car Wars car is going to be
Yeah.
a die-cast metal car and a drill those two holes in the bottom of it fit on the edge, right?
Well, we did. I remember one of our games that we played. It's been a while now, but we back when the Kickstarter was going on, I want to say, I did make a really fast car. That was one of the games we played. That may be one of the ones that's going live. I'm not 100% sure. We actually have some pre-recorded stuff from way back that we recovered. That we didn't think we could recover, and it's actually we're gonna have games going live online pretty soon. So we have those videos going up in the next couple of weeks. There should be 2 different ones, and I think one of those is the game. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. Don't hold me to this, guys, but I think in one of those games I built a really fast car, and I was like, that was the goal, was to make like a really fast car. Or one of us made it. I'm pretty sure it was me. I made the really fast car, and I'm not gonna spoil it.
Was that the one between where no, that wasn't the one where you and I had the viewer built cars, was it?
I don't.
Oh, really?
Maybe it was. That may have been the live stream then.
Well, there was one that was between that we live streamed the build.
No, you're
or
right.
the-
It was. It wasn't one of the recorded ones. It was one of the ones where it was one of the streams. So it is on YouTube. Then I built because I did. It was one of the votes was Speedster or.
Well, we built them on stream. We didn't play the match on stream.
Oh, that might have been it then. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. We may have re-recorded that, put that up as well. I'm not 100% sure. But I remember at one point I did make a Speedster car because of chat.
I wonder how difficult it would be to randomize a car. I mean, it's all on cards. It seems like you could just be like,
It still is
"All right,
point based, so it's still.
left side is going to be
You had to
railgun. Cool.
separate your stacks into point values.
Yeah, you have to do it point values, but you could definitely do something like that, and you could make it lopsided too. Like what was it? Ages ago, when Guy was here, he did that one car that was a laser sniper that shot out from one side of it. He just broadsided people.
What I
Yeah,
might
that
do-
was a pretty popular build for a
What I
while.
might do in this scenario sometimes is you put together a shared deck, you shuffle it together, and you draft. It's the junkyard
Yeah.
special. You draft around the table. Like you take one out of this hand of 5,
Okay,
and you all build your cards out of the junkyard.
I like that.
That's a really neat system. That would be a fun stream, I think.
Yeah.
I don't it'd be a fun stream, it'd be a fun game.
It'd be a fun stream. I'd have fun doing that. We definitely are going to start playing Car Wars on stream in September. So you're going to see those pre-recorded videos that we did a while back. Those are going to go live next Friday, and then the Friday after we'll see those. And then the week after that will be when the pre-orders launch again. And just a reminder, this does not mean that's when they're delivering or anything like that. That is just going to be pre-orders. If you missed out on the Kickstarter, that'll be a good time to jump in and pick some stuff up. For those that are Kickstarter, obviously you guys are still going to be delivered and whatnot. We're still working on all that, but we'll have updates on the Kickstarter itself pretty soon for that, around that same time. It's getting there. We're just as excited as you guys because that means we get our copies.
I can't wait.
Yes, I'm pretty excited. But yeah, we'll be reformatting the room slightly so we can actually play in here.
I mean, I just think it's cool, like, because just like sitting here, we've already come up with
Have to
multiple
pull this camera back.
crazy ways to play. I think that's what's going to be kind of cool is just finding. I mean, obviously they're going to be every game has its competitive players. So you're going to try to find the best builds and just win with those over and over again. But then I think there's also the beer and pretzels crowd.
Well,
It's gonna have fun just playing it all the different ways that you can.
it's all about the scenarios. Like for all of the streams we were doing in during the Kickstarter campaign, those are usually like me or Hunter the day before going, "What if we did this on a match?"
Yeah.
And we did it.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Got to do the racing. We did race scenarios. We've done tournaments. We've done all sorts of stuff. It's been a blast.
So wait, did you mean that those are scenarios from the book, or that's
No.
stuff you guys came up with?
That's just stuff we came
That
up
was
with.
stuff we came up with sometimes 20 minutes before.
I haven't had a chance to. I haven't had a chance to actually go through the newest rule set to see what we have in there. Honestly, and once we get that, we'll be able to explore a little bit more. Obviously, we've had the rules at our disposal, but I haven't actually gone through and checked, potential things for those types of streams. But the rules as they are just leave it open for so many options for you to play, because you can set point values at wherever you like. I actually prefer like lower middle range point values that are less decked out, because it's interesting seeing what you can fit in there.
Yeah.
And having, for me, it's always been like having some slight restrictions on things.
Well, when
makes
you
it
can't
more fun.
when you can't afford to take everything, you
Yeah.
have to think more creatively about what you can take.
Exactly. That's kind of how I think about it. How's that coming along?
That's coming along pretty good. I
Good.
should probably share it in a second.
Yeah, we'll
been
probably-
long enough to get a nice close up. How are we doing on time?
Well, we're probably about 15, 20 out. Probably 15-ish.
Okay.
You get like myself. I don't want you to get lost in the sauce with the painting. Just end up like, well, that stream was 4 hours long. Ben has painted every Car Wars car that we own.
All right. So, trying to. Oop. Again, everything I see is a mirror image over here. So, doing the sides, trying to get a nice subtle gradient from the bottom. So, the ground level, you actually want it to be a little bit lighter, and then blending it up to a darker shadow as you go up, because there's a little bit. This top area here is kind of an overhang, so the shadow should be a little darker underneath it, and then there's always going to be a tiny little bit of light reflected off of the ground. Oh, yep, I'm drifting, just like Hunter said. And then as we rotate it, the top is much lighter.
Looking good.
And
Yeah.
then onto the other side. Now this is normally, and I might as well go ahead and start doing this. Some painters I've seen are able to just fully paint like one aspect of the model before they move on to the next, and I'm not one of those. So this is around the time where I'm going to want to start thinking about how I'm going to do the guns and everything else, and then that's going to start to give me a look at what a better look at what the car is going to look like when it's done. So because I think these are probably going to be like shiny, chromy kinds of weapons, just because this car has a really clean look, I'm going to start with this underbelly blue. This is a really pale blue. And when that's on there and dried, I'm going to give that a wash of the same blackish blue I used on the rust bucket. I'm probably going to use that on the hubcaps as well. Oh, that's...
Sorry about the mic things earlier, guys. Hopefully it's a little bit better now. That was just my receiver.
Oh, hopefully mine's okay.
No, yours is fine. It was just me.
So this can, of course, be tricky. You gotta get close and get in those lines there. I kind of like to let the brush fan out and let it find that edge on its own.
And again, this is meant to be informational. So if you feel like you see his stuff and it's like, wow, that looks incredible after an hour, it does. But you can also do something like that. Maybe not to, maybe if you don't feel like you're up to exactly that, just tone back. Similar to what I do is when I see something I know, like, I can't do that necessarily. I'll take the method that he's using and maybe tone back. Like for me, I'm not as good at wet blending, but there's a lot of advice here that I can definitely use myself, especially about like where the shadows go and where the highlights go. Like thinking about, because in my head, for some reason, when I'm thinking highlights and things like that, like where the lightness would be, I was thinking, well, obviously it's lighter on the top, darker on the bottom, but the fact that there's reflective light coming off the ground means that there should be light. It should
Did
be
I just
lighter
blow
down
your
there.
mind?
Yeah, no, I legitimately hadn't thought of that.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure, but that's something I can take with me. And even though I'm not necessarily the best wet blender, if I can practice at it and try it out, or I can also just take that advice and use solid colors if I want to use like just for my normal highlighting. That's advice that I can use for highlighting.
And I mean, what's crazy is it does actually work kind of that way for me as well sometimes, because while I am I'm proud of this model, and I'm proud of the ones that I've done so far for the studio scheme. Those were all sort of done on the clock, so it's like, Ben, you got other responsibilities. You can't just spend like a whole week on any of these cars. I think the ones I did for the studio that you're going to see on all the packaging, I try to restrict myself to like 5 or 6 hours. So once these go out in the world, there are going to be some painters that are as good as I am, if not better, and they will not have those time restrictions, and they may do some crazy stuff that makes, my paint jobs look pretty shabby too. It happens. It happens. I did a commission recently, and the person who contracted for it sent it out to other painters too, and mine was not the best looking one. So it happens.
Oh, nice. So Mark commented that he's actually put together lists of cards from watching us stream. So he's actually just seen cards in streams and he's been playing along kind of with the game before it's come out. That's resourceful, I'd say. That's really cool. Hope you guys are enjoying it. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been a blast. It's kind of, we've been in that weird void where we didn't have it. It wasn't close enough for it being released that we could justify doing a ton of extra videos on it. So now that it's closer, I can feel the excitement again. It's been a while since we got a chance to play it, and now we can jump back into the arena.
And I have to guess this will be like Munchkin, where we do put that full card list online at some point.
Hopefully, we'll have to see. What kind of resources?
We'll have to see. I shouldn't speculate on things that are not actually part of my job.
I'm sure Jimmy and Brandon, who actually have to make those sites, just had clinched at you.
Yeah, seriously. Shut up.
Like,
man.
I'm sure we could just make this on the website, no problem. Let's promise it right now on air.
Press the add all the Car Wars cards to the page button, guys. Come on, it's so simple.
They are really hard at work working on the Car Wars pages and updating all that stuff. So we're really excited to be got a lot of stuff happening on the website actually. Stay tuned for all that stuff.
All right, I was trying to get all the metal. I don't know. Maybe it's, how's this guy doing on drying? Let's see. Because I want it. The last step when I do one of these things is you dry brush it with metal one more time, just to really make all the edges pop. And I'm hoping we'll actually be able to get to that today, but ink washes can take a while to dry, and that may end up being impossible, sadly.
Yeah, we'll see where it's at. That works. Again, like I said, we can always revisit this stuff, finish the cars later. I'd love to see us actually finish these cars so we can actually use them in games later. So
yeah,
we'll definitely be revisiting these cars. And again, if you guys, we may put a vote on social media, but in comments, please let us know, since you guys are actually here watching it as well, which cars you want to see painted. Like,
yeah, and if you want. Not just which ones, but if you want to see something crazy, like if you're like, I think one of these cars should be called, the Venomous Snake, and it should have snake scales on it. We can do that. I can at the very least, tinker with that on one of these vehicles to kind of show you.
He can promise those kind of techniques. I make sure that's a binge stream.
World War II bomber plane art.
Yeah, World War II bomber plane art. That's actually a really cool idea.
that is gonna take a while, and
So we'll just schedule 3 hours.
most of
Gotcha.
the technique.
I'm joking.
How about the ones that have the eyes and the mouth?
I think if we're gonna
That's
do
a
like a
lot easier.
like a World War II bomber pinup girl, at least she should be Car Warsify with like a bionic leg, and
Sure,
eye patch.
sure. Or a Car Wars pinup guy at that point.
Yeah,
It's in the future, man. You can
Right.
do whatever you want. Then, oh, I'd like a car that changes colors, but not using color shifting paints. Figure that out.
no, that's
Sure.
actually. I mean, you can't make it shift colors, but you can, if you want to try to do a crazy, go at something like that. You know, there's nothing to stop you from like blending up to blending blue to like to green to orange as you go from the shadows to the highlights. It's tricky, but it's just
See-
sort of like it's just the sort of the same techniques you would use for non-metallic metal, except you're using color instead of blues and grays and whites and stuff.
See, Ben's making my fantasies into realities. That's how good he is, guys.
Just your painting fantasies, just those.
Sure. At least on camera. No, I've gotten some of the Turbo Dork paints. I really want to try out the color
People
shifting.
love those turbo dork paints, man.
They seem really cool.
Yeah.
They're called Turbo Dork, and they do color shifting metallics. So they're like very airbrushy. Really cool paints. I used one once. It worked out really well, but I wanted to try one of their like pinky blue, the pink blue type color shifting. That stuff looks really fun.
Vaporwave.
Yep, very vaporwave. Ooh, we should do a vaporwave car.
They kind of, I mean, this kind of already
It's
is,
getting
right?
close. It's getting close. Ooh, we should do one that has that sunset thing, the '80s sunset on the side of it.
That'd be cool.
The right, like the yellow sun, and then like the vaporwave lines through it. '80s car.
I like it.
Ooh, that'd be sick. A van with a wizard on it. I like that airbrushed wizard.
Wizard and flamethrowers.
I've
be
seen
fun.
similar stuff done. Like that's one of those where I might use the airbrush at home and then come back with something because I've seen some similar things done on other miniatures where all they really did was like airbrush like a neon blue, airbrush like a neon orange, and airbrush like a neon green, and then just go and just like edge highlight everything, and you can get a pretty good result just with something that's sort of that simple. And that's like would be a really cool theme
Sure.
car that might be a little more accessible for some people, at least if they have an airbrush. Is it ready for the wash? Not quite yet. Sorry.
Yeah, we are going to be playing on stream. So like this is gonna. It may not be with these exact ones. We have other cars that are already painted. If you look at the back of the box there, Ben actually painted those are actual pictures of Ben's painted models. And those are painted up in the office. We'll probably be using those like we did on our previous streams. But we are going to be
back
playing.
To the office. They went out into the world for a little while.
Yeah, so it won't. The next couple of streams won't be Car Wars. We're going to be doing some other stuff, but we will have Car Wars content the next couple weeks because we had some pre-recorded videos of games. So you will see if you follow us on Facebook or YouTube. It'll be uploaded to Facebook and YouTube next Friday. We'll have one up next Friday and one up the Friday after that. So keep an eye out for that. And then the week after that, so the first week of September, we'll be starting up games again. That's when pre-orders start on, I believe it'll be Backer Kit, pretty sure. And then we'll have we'll start live games up at that point, essentially. Gives us a couple weeks to get the studio, kind of like prep our plans for the studio to get games going, because we actually need to make a little bit more space in here for Car Wars. And also kind of remind ourselves how to play a little bit. But yeah, we will be having games again for sure, and we'll play with these as soon as they're finished. But again, we already have painted cars, so you'll definitely see painted cars on stream.
And we have play mats.
Freehand Steve's face on a car. That's funny.
Like a photographic Steve, or like the John Kovalik drawn Steve?
John Kovalik of Steve. Oh, we can do it. We can do a Munchkin car. Ooh, I might do Munchkin car with the sepia Munchkin car. That'd be fun.
Oh, I like that idea.
Ooh, I can do
We could each do a different Munchkin car, so we can have like Duck of Doom.
Net Troll
versus
car. I call it
Troll
Net Troll.
car. Okay.
I'm Net Troll car.
I like it.
I just want.
Usually-
I'm gonna do it.
Hunter, right, you're very excited about this. You're not usually into the genre mashups.
Furry like reddish brown fur with the two Net Troll eyes on the hood. It's gonna be fun.
And that'll be the whole thing. I like it.
That's it. It's just it looks like a turd with eyes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that might be something I could try to get prepped for next month. Is a free-handed Munchkin on one of them. Some dual promotion.
Oh, he found the car for me. The pill bug. That's the one. Yeah, that would be good. That's actually a good alternative to the.
Is the Pillbug in this set?
No, it's not. We're just
Nope.
Jimmy has the Kickstarter pulled up.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at all the cars on there. Which ones? Because I was talking about using one for like a rust bucket type thing, like what you're doing with the butcher over there.
Yeah,
I think the pill bug would be a good one for that too. That one looks really good. The Grimstone. Oh yeah, Grimstone looks killer. That looks like I used to have a Hot Wheels as a kid that was similar, but like this one looks way radder.
Is Grimstone the one with the?
It looks like it looks like a drag racer with like pipes coming out of the back.
Oh, this one.
Doom Buggy.
Is it just
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's it.
It's called Grimstone now?
It's called Brimstone.
It's just Brimstone.
Dang, I just made up a new cool name too. Grimstone
yours could
sounds
be-
so cool.
Yours can be Grimstone.
I thought it was a pun.
It's a hearse with pipes coming out.
Dude, I'm using that name. Hot Wheels, do not steal that. That is copywritten. It's on there.
We all
That is
heard it.
SJGames property
We
right
all
now.
heard it. This video is admissible in court.
This is. Oh God, never mind.
They already sent you a C&D.
Sorry, I've got
They
to.
texted you a C&D. Hunter Shelburne. This is the Hot Wheels lawyers. Please do not mention our brand name. On your
Do
hobby
not talk
stream.
about Grimstone. Our upcoming movie, Hot Wheels presents Grimstone. Are given with the painted. That one I don't know on the painted one. Let's see, because there was only a few of those, right? The painted prototype Kickstarter pledge. It was like
Oh, I think that's where our studio models are going.
I believe so.
Or maybe some of the, I don't know.
Some of them, or you're gonna paint new ones. And
Or I'm
you
going to paint new ones.
Prototype. So it's probably
Oh, it's probably the ones that we've used in our games in house. Most likely. How many backers was that one?
Would've been just a few.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about Kickstarter stuff is definitely always makes me happy about my particular job.
There it is. Yeah.
Because worrying about Kickstarter pledges is, oh man, I do not envy the people
Yeah, that
around
makes
here who get stuck with that duty.
Yeah, so it'll be probably the ones that we had previously. I don't know which ones because we only have so many prototypes in the first place, so it's going to be split up between the backers, and we may add some more cards to that as we paint them here because these are again prototype models. Still, these are not our final models.
one randomly selected model.
Oh, one randomly selected model. So yeah,
Probably use the Munchkin die
but we could use that new giant one.
to. Yeah.
That'd be sick. We could maybe even select those on stream because it could be one. It's a. Oh, okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, it'll be one of Ben's. So you're going to be getting literally a pro painted model. You're going to be getting a model that was used in the actual production. So odds are, I don't know which one it is, but if you see it on the back of a box, those are hand painted prototypes that are most likely going to be accessible to this. So if you did back that tier, odds are the car you get was actually featured on the box itself.
All right, so I have,
pretty cool.
I think the light blue.
Oh, wow,
I
that
was-
looks great.
Where are we going? I think the light blue I was working with has dried, so I'm going to do the ink wash on that now. And then hopefully before we finish up, I will have time to do one more dry brush on Butcher.
Yep, and we get
So you
close-ups
can
or
see
everything.
him in all his rusty sheet metal glory. Wow, this is, you know what, I'm actually going to go for some pure, that's just water that I thought I might need. I'm going to go for some pure armor wash for this, because that's, it's much greener than I thought with Drakenhof Nightshade. I don't know why that is. So just going in there, getting in all the lines. You got to be careful not to overshoot, because then it could easily bleed into all that stuff you've worked so hard on. But this is whenever you have like lots of little detail, I like to do washes like this just because it will do a little outline for you really quickly and just sort of show where all the detail is. So it's sort of it's almost just like a helpful guide to just quickly block out where all your highlight and possibly any future shading you might decide to do needs to go.
Oh, yeah, the color blocking. Yeah, I saw that one a little bit earlier. Makes sense. Someone likes my Grimstone name. That's great. Now I really want a car with googly eyes.
Who does?
I think that's...
We will not stop you from gluing googly eyes onto your car.
We legally can't
One
stop you.
googly eye, 2 googly eyes, a dozen.
The only
1,000.
Yep.
the only time I can stop you is if you try to put one googly eye on my car.
Car Wars, car.
Car Wars. Well, we did a few years ago. With the rainbow car, with like the look of the cover. So fun fact, we actually did a locally. I guess this was in like 2017, right like the year after I started originally. We did a Pinewood Derby car. If you remember from back in the day, we did the like Boy Scouts or
Yeah.
Scouts. They did Pinewood Derby. So they did this thing called, I forgot what it was actually called, but it was essentially a Pinewood Derby for businesses in Austin. It was the something Derby, and I can't recall what it was off the top of my head. And we did a vote. It was Car Wars themed because Car Wars Arenas had come out the previous year, and we were doing a vote on what we should call it and how we should paint it and stuff like that. We ended up painting it to look like the gradient from the original Car Wars, which is awesome. The white, it was white to yellow, orange, green, or blue, green and blue maybe. And the name that won, and it stuck with me ever since. I used this name for a lot of stuff. It was the Car Wars Car War Car. It was Car Wars Car : War Car. And it was awesome. We came in like second in our heat, and we ended up losing to some other ones. But
Oh, so you actually raced this thing?
oh
too.
yeah, we took it to the. We actually went. A lot of companies just sent their car or didn't come, and we actually went. We're like, no, we're gonna race this thing.
All right. We're going to put that sucker up there while I dry brush.
Yeah, let's get
on
the.
brush. I figure we're getting pretty close on time here.
Yeah, we can go.
Okay, cool.
We're not on a we make the schedule here, Ben. You're good.
Well, I don't. Maybe you guys have some other thing that you got to do, like right at 3, and if
Our-
I get in the way, I don't know. Maybe.
Our next show's coming up, so you need to just. Yeah, next show on our programming is up. We told Ben that he's our Bob Ross of miniature painting, so. I guess that would be that would put us on that would make us PBS though. So next up is like home living, but like Car Wars themed, or like a cooking
Next
show.
up would be Arthur.
Arthur something. No, Arthur got canceled.
Oh well, every time I turn on PBS, Arthur.
It just got canceled. It's been going on for like 26 years.
I mean, there'd be also some weird British-made mystery show. There's
Oh.
like dozens of those. My parents
True.
watch all of them and tell me about all of them.
Well,
True that.
on Plex TV, there's a whole Antique Roadshow channel.
Heck yeah.
Whoa.
You could just watch that.
That's the way to do it.
Antique Roadshow.
Oh, there's a little bit of wet ink in here. Oh well, it's not that big
Yeah.
of a deal.
Man, you're making me want to paint right now.
That's good. That's what I want. That is
Yeah.
my goal.
I wish it wasn't 100 degrees in my garage.
I'm glad I don't paint in my garage. That is for sure. But I do wish I had a garage. To put 3D printers in.
All right. So this is with just a little bit of work.
Let's slide the
I've
back
done
and put
today.
them on close up. There you go.
This is a car that
And it breaks. No.
if they bounce, people they bounce. This is a car that's almost mostly done. It
That's
still needs
great.
tires.
And
You
and
can
this was just
still-
dry brushing.
Yeah.
Just dry brush and wash and another dry brush. I love it. And
Um,
again, you can kind of go as detailed as you want with this kind of stuff. There's so much more you can do to it, but
And this guy's a special case because he actually has like a weird grill for his window. So that's like you can just leave that.
Is that the front?
Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of like a big jumbo pickup truck, armored.
This one has a
pickup
cool
truck.
detail. It
I
actually has a
see it
little
now.
ladder on the back. How you get inside.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So really all you need to do with this one would be to finish up the tires and some little dots on this might be good. And then, I don't know, just maybe a little something to make the laser on the back with the guns on the side, pop out a little bit more. But for the most part, it's pretty almost ready to go.
It's always fun to have like jumping off points where you can like say, okay, I've done enough. Now I'm ready. I'm good to go. You know, like different levels. There's like different levels of painting. Essentially, there's kind of
Yeah.
like table ready. I'm using like old GW terms, but like table ready, parade ready, competition type stuff. So like I'm table ready. I stop, like I do those like kind of details where it's like, here's a tire, paint this laser, maybe throw a couple lights, boom, you're done. You could even go farther if you want, more highlighting stuff like that. But again, it's up to you where you kind of want to stop. Heck, you could just throw a wash on these minis and you say, I'm done. I just want it to have color on it. So
Oh yeah, you know what? I actually had bought some contrast paint, so I will try to remember to bring the contrast paint next time. I specifically got it to try to use on the stream because it's so popular now. Like I'm a member of a lot of like different miniatures groups, and just all the time you see people posting pretty cool
Yeah.
looking minis, all sorts of different types too. You know, not just GW ones.
oh yeah,
Just like,
you've seen some
yeah,
of mine
just
that I
use
use
some
contrast on.
contrast, and it looks great.
Purple people eater here,
Yep.
just to give you an idea of
We
like
should
the
probably,
difference.
Okay, so it needs to go this way.
There you go.
Back. I should just look at the table and not look at the screen. So I want to get it on the little rotating. I need a little rotating table. So one of the things that I want to do with this, as part of finishing it up, it's something I left off all the studio paint jobs. Was an idea I had a little bit more recently, is to do like a cool targeting reticle kind of thing on the front, where like paint the whole windshield kind of like a heads up display with like
Ooh.
little lines, maybe even a grid, and then a little target painted on. So kind of like a retro future kind of heads up display thing for the driver inside that we can't see.
So we had a request in chat, which we might we may not do the exact request, but we'll definitely try painting that mini up. The Avalanche is one of the minis. They said paint it like the armored transport from Aliens because it's kind of got that same.
Oh
look.
yeah, that's actually I think how the studio one kind of ended up looking.
Yeah,
It's
I
dark
think I remember
gray.
you seeing that mini.
But I went a little bit more sci-fi. I think I gave it like bright, almost glowy green windshields. I think
Okay.
that's the one that I put hazard stripes on, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, we'll have to take a picture of that and share it online so you guys can see that at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. Some, but not all the pictures of the cars made it out of the world. They're all
We
painted
took a
out there
lot of
somewhere.
stuff, but it ended up you kind of end up with the same few pictures that you kind of go back to a lot.
Yeah.
So and a lot of those pictures I took were when the Kickstarter was happening before I was even back with the company. So we have some stuff that I missed out on a little bit.
When did you start again?
I
Start back
started
up.
with us originally in 2016 and then or 2015 or whatever it was, and then
It was
I
like
came back
right at the start of 2020.
yeah, I came back at the beginning of the pandemic, so I couldn't even come back to the office
Yay.
early. Good miniature painting Facebook page. What are some good miniature painting Facebook pages?
I think there's one called Paint All the Minis. It's a group.
Paint all the minis.
I
Okay.
think there's one called Heavier Metal.
Heavier metal, which reference to heavy metal or heavy
And
metal.
it might be Heavier Metal too. I can't
Heavier
remember
Metal.
off the top of my head.
I'm in more game specific ones as well. So if I'm in a particular game like that I'm playing, like in my case, I play Warhammer, Marvel Crisis Protocol. A lot of people share stuff in there. Also, if you find YouTubers, a lot of times they'll have Discords or Facebook pages for those particular painters. Like
Yeah.
I believe Sarastro might have one. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a few guys like that. Miniac. They're Trapped Under Plastic. They do it's a podcast. It's a couple of painters that are YouTubers, and they have a good little painting group. Tabletop Titans, I really enjoy their stuff. They do a section called Hobby Titans now. If you're into Discord, so they have a really good Discord for like a lot of cool, varied miniatures, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, that's what I was thinking of more was groups for specific brands rather than just painting in general.
That's kind of what I end up in. It's like specific brands. But yeah, those look great. We'll share some of the pictures on the on our Instagram and our social media and stuff like that. We'll grab some pictures. And again, we're not completely done with these, obviously.
Nope.
So we'll revisit these on a later date. And we've got a lot more Car Wars content on the way. Keep an eye out for the next couple weeks. We're gonna do the pre-recorded stuff, so you'll see some videos go up on our YouTube and our Facebook page, and share them on Twitter and all that. And then on September 1st, we'll have the pre-orders going up for Car Wars for those that missed out on the Kickstarter, or maybe people that backed a little bit and want to get some more stuff. We'll have those pre-orders going live, and we'll have some more content that week as well. Any last? Who paints and ranks Mountain Dew? That would be me. Don't do that. Don't follow me for painting tips. I promise you, it's not gonna. It doesn't end well. But guys, if you have any other questions or recommendations on what cars you want to see, leave them in the comments below. And thanks for watching this week.
Yep. Thanks for watching.
We'll catch you on the next stream. You have a good weekend.
Have an awesome weekend. See you next time.